The Crab and the Monkey. There was once a crab who lived in a hole on the shady side of the mountain. She was a very good housewife, and so careful and industrious that there was no creature in the whole country whose hole was so neat and clean as hers, and she took great pride in it. One day she saw lying near the mouth of her hole a handful of cooked rice which some pilgrim must have let fall when he was stopping to eat his dinner. Delighted in this discovery, she hastened to the spot and was carrying the rice back into her hole when a monkey, who lived in some trees nearby, came down to see what the crab was doing. His eyes shone at the sight of the rice, for it was his favorite food, and like the sly fellow he was, he proposed a bargain to the crab. She was to give him half the rice in exchange for a kernel of sweet red kaki fruit which he had just eaten. He half expected the crab would laugh in his face for this impudent proposal, but instead of doing so she only looked at him for a moment with her head to one side, and then said she would agree to the exchange. So the monkey went off with his rice, and the crab returned to her hole with the kernel. For some time the crab saw no more of the monkey, who had gone to pay a visit to the sunny side of the mountain. But one morning he happened to pass by her hole and found her sitting under the shadow of a beautiful kaki tree. "Good day," he said politely. "You have some fine fruit there. I am very hungry. Could you spare one or two?" "Oh, certainly," replied the crab. "But you must forgive me if I cannot get them for you myself. I am no tree climber." "Pray do not apologize," answered the monkey. "Now that I have your permission, I can get them easily for myself." And the crab consented to let him go up, merely saying that he must throw down half of the fruit. In another moment he was swinging himself from branch to branch, eating all of the ripest kakis and filling his pockets with the rest. And the poor crab saw, to her disgust, that the few he threw down to her were either not ripe, or else quite rotten. "You're a shocking rogue!" she called in rage, but the monkey took no notice, and went on eating as fast as he could. The crab understood that it was no use of her scolding, so she resolved that the cunning would do. "Sir Monkey," she said, "you're certainly a very good climber, but now that you have eaten too much, I'm quite sure you would never be able to run one of your somersaults." The monkey prided himself on turning better somersaults than any of his family, so he instantly went head over heels 3 times on the bough on which he was sitting, and all the beautiful kakis that he had hidden in his pockets rolled to the ground. Quick as lightning, the crab picked them up and carried the quantity of them into her house. But when she came up for another, the monkey sprang on her and treated her so badly that he left her for dead. When he had beaten her till his arms ached, he went away. It was a lucky thing for the poor crab that she had some friends to come to help her, for certainly she would have died then and there. The wasp flew to her and took her back to bed and looked after her, and then he consulted with a rice mortar and an egg which had fallen out of the nest nearby, and they agreed that when the monkey returned, as he was sure to do, to steal the rest of the fruit, that they would punish him severely for the manner in which he had behaved to the crab. So the mortar climbed up to a beam over the front door, and the egg lay quite still on the ground, while the wasp set down a water bucket in the corner. Then the crab dug itself a deep hole in the ground, so that not even the tip of her claws might be seen. Soon after everything was ready, the monkey jumped down from his tree, and creeping to the door again, a long hypocritical speech, asking pardon for all that he had done. He waited for an answer of some sort, but none came. He listened, but all was still. Then he peeped, and saw no one, and he went in. He peered about for the crab, but in vain, but his eyes fell on the egg, which he snatched up and set on the fire. But in the moment the egg had burst into 1,000 pieces, and its sharp shell struck him in the face and scratched him horribly. Smarting with pain, he ran to the bucket and stooped down to throw some water over his head. As he stretched out his hand, up started the wasp and stung him on the nose. The monkey shrieked and ran to the door, but as he passed through, down fell the mortar and struck him on the head, dead. After that, the crab lived happily for many years, and at length died in peace under her own khaki tree.